right, and we're back. Episode 128. First and foremost, thank you guys so much. I started this new page, Hood Love Dealer, to kind of give you guys a place and for myself to put all my dating content in one area. And I started this page from 0 followers on Wednesday. 6 days later, we're already at 5,000 followers on this page. So thank you guys so much for helping this take off very, very quickly, and let's keep it going. All right. Hey, I've been saying I'm going to email you the story forever. I just saw your new page and decided I got time today. It's long, but you need all the details. Shall we? So, a little backstory. This guy and I met in college. He was my type of handsome, tall, dark skin, nice smile, my kryptonite. So me. I'm just playing. Tall, dark skin, nice smile, my kryptonite, and he played football. I think we exchanged numbers via DMs and was texting for a few weeks. We decided to link, he invited me over. I really didn't care too much to go to his place, but it was college, so fuck it. I text my girls the who, the what, the when, the why, and the picture, and told them to be on standby in case I need an excuse to leave. Call me judgmental, I don't care. No, that's just safety. I respect it. I got to his place, he led me to his room. First off, it was a little junky, typical college guy. His mattress was on the floor and he had this big ass TV propped up on milk crates. I'm thinking you can afford this big ass TV but not a bed frame? Priorities. It wasn't an affordability thing, your priority, exactly. You didn't write priorities, but I said that, and then your next line. Your priorities are off. Yes, they are. Damn near fell down as I went to sit on the bed. As soon as I did, I was looking around and saw some crusty ass inside out boxers right there on the floor. Yup, time to go. I text my girls and they got me out of there. Never really spoke to him after that. Before we get any further, after what you just described, why would you speak to him again? Because I'm assuming you did. That's why we're here. Well, let's keep reading. Fast forward a few years later, we're both living in the same city, not our hometowns and not our college town. Me not knowing who he was, we matched on Hinge and started chatting again. Not knowing who he was. That's what we're going to go with. We're not knowing who he was. Me not knowing who he was, we matched on Hinge and started chatting again. It wasn't until he told me the backstory of how I played him that I remembered who he was. About 5 to 6 years had passed, and from the conversation, we both seemed to be in a good place. We both had our masters, working in our field, very happy with life. I figured I'd give him a fair shot. Of course, I checked the IG to make sure he was still fine. See, it all comes down to being fine. You see, guys, it's not what you do, it's how you look. He didn't have many updated pictures, but from the ones I saw, he looked good. Okay, cool. Day of the date, I pull up to his place and I get out. He meets me outside and the first thing I noticed was his puffy beer belly and sunken in eyes with dark rings around them. He just described a raccoon. That's a raccoon. Immediately turned off. As much as we talked about the gym and working out, I knew this motherfucker had been lying. I'm a fitness trainer, and by the way his eyes were sunken in, I immediately thought he had some health issues. At this point, I was like, yeah, this is a free meal. You see, y'all? You can't afford the meal? You couldn't afford the meal. All right. He greeted me, told me I looked nice, and I said thank you. We get in his car. Another thing we had talked about was how we had the same car, but he was too excited to talk about how his was a newer version than mine. And I'm thinking, okay, nigga, you want a cookie? He's fiddling with the color change thing, like, yeah, mine can do this, and I can make the sound different than yours. Can't do that, huh? Going on and on. In my driest voice possible, I'm like, no, it can't. He finally pulls off. This asshole, why is he an asshole now? This asshole went the wrong way up a one-way street doing like 60, hit a sharp left, and turned onto the main street. I should have ended the date there. You should have ended the date before you got in the car. Let's keep reading. A few months earlier, I got into a bad car accident in my sports car when an 18-wheeler hit me. In that moment in the car with him, my anxiety shot up and I froze, just like I did when the accident happened. My young self let the date go on, but looking back, knowing what I know now about myself and my anxiousness in cars, I should have just told him to take me back. The whole way there, he's like, I'm gonna take you to this cool spot. You ain't never been here. You're gonna love it. I was immediately annoyed when you pulled up to this local ass bar that everyone in the city, including myself, has been to. We got out and he was like, yeah, you haven't been here before, have you? I said, actually, I have. He's like, oh. We walk in and he immediately sees some people he knows and he stops by to say hi. No problem. But he proceeded to stand there and wait while the friend he ran into went to find his other friend. Why I just stood there with his ass, I don't know. But we stood in the middle of this bar for a good 4 minutes just waiting for his friend to come back and say hi. We finally sat down. He was like, don't even look at the menu. I'm gonna order for you. He ordered tequila and some drink and some wings. I'm thinking, he's lucky I like tequila because he even asked my preference. Y'all all like tequila. You're all gonna drink tequila. That's what you guys like. Almost every woman I know likes tequila. I don't, but you do. That was not a hard guess. Now, I'm not a big drinker at all, but I gotta give it to him. The drink was good. The wings, not so much. I had about 4 to 6 and decided I was full. The lady asked me, was I finished? I said yes. She's like, wait, you gotta eat those. Not in a laughing manner, but more like demanding. I got some galls about myself and straight face said, no, I'm not. He finished the last 2. Things are going cool. We're chatting and laughing, and at some point, this nigga pulls out his phone and reads aloud a tweet he was making. I'm on a beautiful date with a beautiful girl. I gagged in my head, gave the most stank face. Who are you performing for? He proceeded to tell me how him and his ex had recently broke up and he wanted to flex on her. Side eye. This man then FaceTimes his friend and was like, what's up, nigga? I'm out on a date. And flips the camera to me. Nah, this is your fault. Now look at you. This is you. He eventually hung up and said, man, I have to tell my mom. He then proceeds to FaceTime his mom. All right. Thank God she didn't answer. At some point, we're talking and he kept touching me, like putting his hand on my knee and lightly shoving me after a joke. At each instance, I felt myself tense up more and more. Eventually, he told this story and he took both his hands and placed them on my shoulders and my anxiety shot way up again. And before I knew it, I pushed his hands off me and said, don't touch me. He kind of jumped back a little bit, like, my bad. And I apologized because it shocked me too, but I did explain to him that I don't like people touching me. He apologized, and shortly after we left the bar. We get in the car, he turns on the GPS and starts taking us to the next spot. There was construction and the road was closed, but the GPS kept rerouting us to the same spot. No lie, we went in a circle about 4 times. I eventually turned the music down and said, GPS doesn't realize the road is closed. You need to drive past this point so it can give you another route. He listened. However, this time this nigga turned the wrong way and went up a highway exit. Does he have a license? I don't think this man is licensed. He went up a highway exit. I told him this is the wrong way. He said it wasn't. Next thing we knew, a car was coming straight at us. I'm in the passenger seat smashing on my invisible brake. He swerves to the right, missing the car, but hits the concrete siding and made a U-turn to go the right way and exit the ramp that we just went up. I was so pissed. I turned down the music and was like, what the fuck? He was like, I'm sorry. Nah, there's no I'm sorry. You gotta see me now. Park this car, you gotta see me. I know you're a woman, so you're a little bit smaller than him, but park this car so I can mace you. You need to be maced. At this point, you're a wild animal. I told him I need you to be more careful, and I told him about the story of my car accident and how my anxiety is through the roof right now, and how I also didn't appreciate him going in the wrong way up that one way either. This is a very nice response for being in the car with a wild animal. I will give you credit for how you're handling this because, nah. Nah. He apologized over and over, said he felt bad, and it wouldn't happen again. We finally get on the right road and he headed to the next spot. The next spot? No. Home. The next spot is my house. Headed to the next spot is crazy after this. We finally get on the right road and head to the next spot. He again was bragging about how I've never been here either. This motherfucker again goes up the wrong way on a one-way and pulls into the hookah spot that my people own. We get out and he was like, have you been here? I said, yeah, my friend's brother owns the spot. He's like, oh. We get in, and for whatever reason, the news was on talking about Donald Trump. And I took it as a moment to ask him about his politics and how he felt about Trump. You're talking about politics? After everything that's happening, you're talking about politics. The only thing you should be talking about is how far you are from home. I live 20 minutes from here. Drop me home. You thought this is the time to talk about politics. Okay. I took it as a moment to ask him about politics and how he felt about Trump. This man said, I don't really care. I don't vote. That shit don't matter anyways. I asked him, are you a U.S. citizen? Because I know he has a Haitian background. He said, yeah, I was born and raised in Florida, and so is my mom. I said, I'm ready to go. Can you take me home? That was the line. This was the moment to say to take me home because he doesn't vote. This is when you decide it's time to take me home. Okay. Okay. He was shocked because I don't vote. I was so annoyed and said, yeah, and started walking to the car. As he's driving back, he's doing like 90 the whole way, and I'm so pissed. I get out and I basically ran to my car. I get home and I get a text from him that says, I had a great time. Thanks for letting me take you out. I hope you felt safe with me. And when can I see you again? I responded, safe? Safe is the last thing I felt. Thank you for the date, but I do not want to see you ever again. He called me the next day asking why, and I told him each thing that I was uncomfortable with. It was a civil conversation. After that, he would text me here and there asking for a redo and that I could meet him instead of riding with him. I said no to each one. I moved away from that city eventually. To this day, he'll text me once about a football game, another time about the trip, another time about the movie, and each time I tell him wrong number. He said, oh, my bad. I don't know if it's on purpose or what. Block that man, first of all. Telling him wrong number. Why are you even responding with wrong number? This whole date This is too much to go back and review the whole thing, but I'm just gonna say this. From the very beginning, when you say you went to his house and it was dirty and this and that, but you overlooked all of this because he was handsome. That's why all this happened. I'm just gonna say that. This whole thing happened because you're so googly-eyed over this man that you couldn't even see. You literally were blind. This is a blind date, but not in the regular sense of things. You were blind on this date. Every mad thing that he did on this date, he just apologized and he went, don't do that again. Nah. There is no man fine enough that should drag you through this. No one is fine enough. No. All in all, I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you learned from this experience. I hope you did. I hope your anxiety in cars is now better. But man, stand up and speak up for yourself. I hope you are now, cause up the wrong way, up a highway, going the wrong direction, saying my bad, and all you said was, please don't do that again. I had a bad accident. And after all of this, the only thing that made you say I want to go home now is because you didn't vote? Come on. Keep emailing all worst dates to play at the first game that shop. And I'll keep this rocking as long as I can, but I'm upset. Just know I'm upset.